Shalom, want to give all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, double honors unto the apostles of Great Millstone, who I learned the truth from, and salutations unto you brothers out there, sincere Akim, holding the faith. This is an intro I'm going to do, because I don't have the book with me right now, but a brother yesterday at camp, I believe he asked about the Renaissance, and the brothers were kind of getting into it, but he kind of, I don't know, my spirit told me he kind of didn't get it. So I'm gonna, Lord's will, do a video on the Renaissance, because it's good to touch the basics, man, the fundamentals. But this is just an intro I'm gonna do. If you type in Renaissance on Google or Wikipedia, you get the Renaissance. Of course, you get the token of the white man has been here, a fucking naked statue, man. That's a token of the white man. But it says the Renaissance was a period in European history from the 14th to the 17th century, which 14th century is the 1300s and the 17th is the 1600s. Esau counts backwards. But the point is, when you had the Black Plague, or the Black Death of Europe, that killed roughly 2/3 of Europe, which is spiritual, man. I don't have to get into it. That's spiritual in itself, because who was ruling Europe at that time? Israelites. So 2/3 of them got dropped off, man, for to make way for Esau to come and rule. But the 1300s, the Black Plague. With the Black Plague, you had two of them. You had the pneumonic and bubonic plague. Okay, and they hit in waves. And I believe the first wave was 1325. 1350-ish. That's why it says the Renaissance was the 1300s, because that's when Israelites started dropping dead. They started dropping dead from those plagues that the Most High created. All right, because these devils were still in caves. These Edomites, they were still in the Caucasus Mountains. A lot of them were getting taken out of there, and we were intermarrying with them. A lot of Byzantine kings were doing that, taking on Khazars. You can read all about this. And the men would actually take the last name of the woman, man. That's how bugged out Jake was. But it's no surprise Jake is doing that today. You know, worshiping women. All right. It says, regarded as the cultural bridge between the Middle Ages and modern history, man. Because Israelites were ruling in the Middle Ages, and it was mainly the Moors. But you had Israelites go under a lot of other names or monikers, which is just another word for name or labels. You had the Order of the Knights, the Templar Knights, or the Teutonic Knights, or different kinds of knights. The Moors, of course. You had Israelites known as different names, though. You know, the Saxons; those are Israelites. You know, the Vikings, Gauls, which is in France, later became French. It says it started as a cultural movement in Italy in the late medieval period, and later spread to the rest of Europe, making the beginning of the early modern age. The intellectual basis of the Renaissance was its own invented version of humanism, which humanism, that's what Esau's pushing right now, about evolution and all this bullshit. Talking about we came from a monkey or algae or some bullshit, and we just evolved from there. Which right now they're trying to push that humanism bullshit about we're going to evolve into some superhumans, and basically they just want the blessing. They want the spiritual power, man. It's Esau coming after his blessing. So when you read even a little article like this, and you have the eye salve from Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai to see. You know, the eye salve lets you see that. Look at the difference. It's two different peoples that were ruling. Jake wasn't pushing that humanism, evolution, atheism crap. You know, Jake was still going off. They were far from trying to be righteous. You know, but it's two different people, man. That's why when Rebecca inquired of the Lord, he said, "Two manner of people are in your womb, man." There's two different kinds of people, man. There's two different vessels programmed to do two different things. All right, to get technical, in your womb. And you can see that right here just from this description. It says derived from the rediscovery of classical Greek philosophy. So who were the Greeks? The freaks, man, the Edomites. Alexander the Freak and his father Philip the Freak. But as you see, they took on the the Greek philosophy, such as that of Protagoras, who said that man is the measure of all things. This new thinking became manifest in art, architecture, politics, science, and literature. And around this time, of course, we had Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, hired by the Pope, Pope Rodrigo VI, whose son was Cesare Borgia, or Cesare Borgia, who was painted as the Lord, man, as the Son of God. That's where you get that bullshit painting of the Last Supper. That was basically Caesar in the middle. He was there a couple of times also painted, and he had his cousins and relatives there. All right? He had sex with his sister, Lucretia. You know, he committed incest. He was a murderer, a liar. You know, he had a lot of crimes to pay for. And that was the man that was painted as the Son of God. That's why we get so angry, man. When we're on the highways, we might step on Caesar. You know, we might curse Caesar out. You know? You know, and I'm going to get into this Lord's will a little bit. This is just an intro, man. This is just a quick intro. I'm going to get the scripture to back it up. All right, and then I'm going to close it up, and Lord's will, I'm going to do a lesson on that. I'm going to get, what's that, Revelations 20. All right, this is Revelations 20:1. And I saw an angel come down from heaven, having the key of the bottomless pit and a great chain in his hand. That angel is Yahushua. The bottomless pit is Europe. All right. And common sense, a key to and a chain is a tool to lock something up. Right. It says, and he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years. Now, parabolically speaking, this is talking about the white man, the so-called white man, Esau. See, so the Bible calls you Satan, and the Bible calls you the devil. Devil means a liar, and Satan means adversary. All right? And it says that the dragon, which dragon means to see keenly, Esau likes to use these animals to attribute them to himself. The eagle, the dragon. I was just thinking of another one, slipped my mind. A snake, you know, which all those things, guess what, they can be reversibly used righteously, man, because Jake used the eagle as well. All right, all an eagle represents is the highest flying bird, and it's vicious, it's swift. A dragon, it means to see keenly. That's one of the highest levels, as Apostle Gabar said, of the animal. That is the highest level. Owl, all right, because it has oil in its eyes. That's why there's a word for it. It stays up at night, though. It's not a daytime bird. It stays up at night, but it has special oil in its eyes, and it can see through the dark. It can see in the dark. That's why these elites, they like using the owl. You know, things like Molech and of that sort. It says, verse 3, and cast him into the bottomless pit, and shut him up, and set a seal upon him. Oh, Salakia. And the point in verse 2 as well, that old serpent, because who was that old serpent in the garden? That was Salakia. That was really Esau, man. Cain, all the same people in the flesh. Right? It says, verse 3, and cast him into the bottomless pit, and shut him up, and set a seal upon him, that he should deceive the nations no more. So who the hell deceived the nations? When the Renaissance came out, what came with that? All kinds of crazy fucking art, because they said art, architecture, science, all kinds of fucking mad science. That's where you had your, what do you call it, the allopathic system come out. All right, you have a homeopathy and allopathy, which allopathy is a modern day system of medicine when you go in the hospital or the walk-in clinic, to where or the pharmacy, which pharmacy means what? Pharmakia in the Greek, witchcraft. But the allopathic system, it only targets the symptoms, not the cause of disease. Homeopathy targets the cause of the disease, so you stop the disease. If you keep attacking the symptoms, that does nothing almost. So that came with him, deceiving the nations through painting the Son of God in his own likeness, painting the Most High in his likeness, the angels, all the saints, the Israelites. Right? All these things came after this devil came out of the caves during the Renaissance, which Renaissance, re means again, naissance, birth. So put it together, means rebirth or born again. And who was born again? The white man. He came out of his captivity, and he came into his rulership, man. It says that he should deceive the nations no more till the 1,000 years should be fulfilled, and after that he must be loose a little season. So that little season began around early, mid to late 1300s to 1400s, man, up until now. This is that little season we're in, and we're at the end of that little season, man. We're at the end of that little season. All right. So again, that was it. Hope brothers are edified, and Lord's will, again, I'm gonna get into this a little deeper. It's always good to get into history, man. All right. Kahala, La Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. Double honors unto the apostles, the GMS, the great men that rule well, and salutations unto you brothers out there. Until next time, Shalom.